You see the image of Nataraj, whilst he's destroying Apasmara and trampling with his dance, on his face he's got a look of beatific spiritual realization at the same time. And certainly when the Shaiva traditions always speak of Shiva as a benign deity who is so merciful and kind and forgiving to those who express regret and remorse, his anger is at the horrible things of the world.
Shiva, often seen as Bholenath, the innocent lord who is easily pleased and quickly grants wishes, almost like a kind, forgiving father figure. But what if Shiva is not just a kind god, and the way we approach him touches only a small fragment of what he truly is? What if Shiva was never meant to be worshipped for material comfort? Today, we are going to discuss what the ancient scriptures actually teach about Shiva worship, and why most people are completely unprepared for what it really takes to be his worshipper. In Hinduism, Shiva is often described as the Supreme Lord. In common practice, devotees worship Shiva through rituals, prayers, and chant sacred mantras to bring protection and healing. But ancient scriptural analysis reveals a more destabilizing reality. In the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra, Shiva has been described as Shunya, the supreme void. Now, don't mistake this for nothingness. In Western thought, a void is a vacuum. But in Tantra, Shiva is Purna Shunya, the full void. Think of a cinema screen. When the movie is off, the screen is empty. But it is only because the screen is empty that it has the capacity to show any world, any story, any light. Shiva is that screen. He is the infinite consciousness, the energy from which everything arises and into which everything dissolves. According to the scriptures, he is not just a god to be worshipped for material gains, but to truly worship Shiva, one must become him. Does that mean we have been fed with false stories all along? Not necessarily, but it means we have been looking at the finger pointing to the moon, instead of the moon itself. The Upanishads describe Shiva not as a deity only bound by rituals, but as the infinite consciousness. He has many forms, and most iconography points toward destruction, dissolution. If we look at any Shiva sadhana, the goal is always the same with different names, be it to reach Shunya, achieve moksha, or to take samadhi. The goal has been to empty yourself in order to worship him. But why? Because Shiva, as described in Shiva Sutra, is Chaitanya. According to sutras, Shiva is not a being outside us, but he is a state to be realized. And the very process to realize him is what causes destruction of the limited sense of I. Kashmir Shaivism speaks of three upaya, or methods, used to recognize our true nature as Shiva. Upaya refers to the means to reveal our ultimate nature. These paths help the limited human being recognize and unite with the supreme reality. Shambhavapaya is the path of complete thoughtlessness in Kashmir Shaivism. Through the Guru's grace, the seeker directly realizes the absolute I, Param Shiva, and experiences the whole universe as a reflection within the self. This upaya arises from Ichha Shakti, so it is also called Ichhopaya. It happens effortlessly, not through practice, and only highly evolved seekers are chosen by the Guru for this path. Since it exists in pure non-duality, Shambhavapaya is also known as Abhedapaya. Shaktopaya is also called Gnanopaya because it arises from Gnana Shakti, the power of Gnana. In this method, the seeker uses the power of pure thought, Shuddha Vikalp, to dissolve the impure thoughts that keep us feeling separate from the divine. Instead of trying to stop all thoughts, you maintain one specific, powerful thought, like I am pure consciousness. Here, the seeker does not use mantras, breath control, or concentration on specific points. Instead, the practice is one-pointed awareness of the supreme reality, which exists beyond action and non-action. This focused inner centering is described in Vijnana Bhairav Tantra as Madhyam Shamashrayat. Anavopaya deals with the individual soul, Anu. It works through practices like Uchchar, Karan, Dhyan, Varna, and Sthan Prakalpana. Since it depends on action and effort, it is called Kriyopaya and arises from Kriya Shakti. In Anavopaya, the seeker must use many supports, mantra, breath, and other techniques to hold awareness. Compared to this, Shaktopaya needs only one support, the center of awareness, and Shambhovapaya needs no support at all, because awareness is already established. All three upaya lead to the same transcendental consciousness. The difference is the distance. Anavopaya is the longest path, Shaktopaya is shorter, and Shambhovapaya is the shortest and the most direct. These upaya do not give you anything new. They only help you remember what you have always been. And in that remembrance lies Param Shiva. So now a natural question arises. If Shiva is consciousness and the way to worship him is to become him, then why rituals at all? Why temples, offerings, mantras, and practices? At first glance, rituals seems contradictory. They appear to reinforce separation. You hear, God there. Shaivism never saw rituals as blind traditions. It saw ritual as a technology of transformation. Shaivya scriptures explain that the mind does not begin in realization. Consciousness is naturally pure, but it is clouded by desires, fears, and past impressions. Ritual work like mental hygiene. When actions are offered without personal desire, they stop creating bondage and instead cleanse the mind, making it capable of holding truth. Without this purification, non-dual ideas remain intellectual and unstable. You may understand I am Shiva philosophically, but psychologically and bodily you still feel separate. Ritual is the bridge between knowing and being. It gradually trains the body, breath, senses, and mind to align with what the intellect already knows. Shaivism maps this inner evolution through 4 stages: Charya, Kriya, Yoga, and Jnana. These are not religious steps, but stages of psychological transformation. When we worship the Shiva Linga, it is not an idol but a symbol. Shiva is first approached as a form and gradually recognized as the same consciousness within. Practices like Abhishek and offering withdraw attention from senses, calm the nervous system, and turn awareness inward. The aim is not external worship, but recognition of the pillar of awareness within oneself. When realization occurs, ritual does not end, it expands. The whole universe becomes the temple. Every breath becomes worship. Every action becomes Shiva in motion. That is not religion, that is living as Shiva. Later, Shaivya devotional literature shows the path of complete surrender through stories where devotees face intense trials. These stories are not meant to scare people, but to convey that Shiva is not a god who will just give you material benefits, but he will strip you down until what remains is only pure consciousness. As it is mentioned in Tantric traditions, Na Devo Devamarchayet, one who is not divine himself cannot worship the divine. As to worship the fire, you must become the heat. So to worship the void, you must empty yourself. So the question is not why Shiva takes away your material attachments when you worship him. The question is much deeper. Are you truly ready to become Shunya, or are you just looking for a more comfortable prison?